I just grabbed a Mountain Dew. I think I'm out of beer, and I forgot to get some earlier.
That's fun.
I'm drinking the good old fashioned Tennessee original.
The Tennessee original Mountain Dew.
Well, I mean, it's just Mountain Dew.
Oh man, that Chad Strange is looking good. I dig it.
You like that? That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's a good one.
I went and found the biggest mustache one that was like a clearest picture.
Yeah, the biggest mustache possible, please. Like that's my Strange.
That's the Strange the people want. You know what? I could just go through with like a little marker here and draw a mustache on every single one of these. I kind of want to now. Do I have a little? I wonder if I have like a little pin I could like do stuff with. That'd be so cool if I could like just add a pin.
This
like
is
OBS.
good. I feel like these are almost like pillars of the game right now at this point, right? Like we got Thanos.
Yeah, Psylocke's not.
We got Strange. We got Mal. We got probably an immortal Hulk soon enough. A Bill, and we've got the 7 to 11 die builder.
I mean, to be honest, like Psylocke's builder is insane. Like the fact that she's a 4 threat and she's pumping 7 dice reroll any. Like,
yeah. I mean, she's got to pay for it, so she kind of has to like stick something at some point. But it's 7 die. You're almost guaranteed to stick something pretty quick. Almost.
He's not making any sense. I think Immortal is better versus Attrition, and OG is better versus Control, and Control can beat OG. I don't know. I just like it takes away from it, like him not being here. It's not as fun.
It won't be the same.
I can't just sit here and say why.
We gotta do a different segment.
Yeah, let's do something different.
He can come back. He can defend himself. He'll be on the show again. Week. Right.
I don't know why. Like all of these pictures look really clear, except for like the kitty. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see. What we got
Gamma Drain being permanent is pretty crazy.
Gamma Drain is not, I didn't even think about it the first time I read it, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, and right. Then, you're like, oh, she'll use it. And then I thought about it as Thanos. I was like, oh man, it's like portals. Just like, oh, a whole turn of my. Oh wait, it's not a whole turn. It's the rest of the game.
It's the rest of the game. Like I just like see it against Mags as being like, thanks for keeping me alive, Mags.
Oh my goodness, no, he's just done. That's it. Like you've just gotta. You have to throw all of that terrain at Hulk.
But then he just sits on 10 power and he goes down to 5 damage only.
Yeah, no, it's still terrible.
Now, if you could like stun him or find a way that he can't get power, then sure.
That's fair.
Here's a good one, Mathematic. What's one thematic ability that's missing from a character that annoys you?
Shock immunity on Thor.
That's fair. First thing that comes to mind is Cable.
What ability should he have that he doesn't? Just a
body slide is not representative of body slide in the comics.
Ah, fair enough.
Like it is not. Body slide in the comics is straight up he swaps places with somebody. But that in this game would be absolutely broken.
It'd be so hard to do too, right? Because you'd have to like
you'd have to balance it.
You'd have to like mark them and
And I know why they did it. The reasons why they did it because it makes sense. But like, how cool would it be if you could just be like, and your Malekith is way over here in the corner now?
You just like ran your Cable into the corner for the first turn or two of the game, just so you could swap with.
He could still shoot, or if he had a power that was like crank it to 11, because there's multiple times in the comics where he's like, well, let's just pump some more juice on it. And he turns like his gun up and hits hard.
Right.
Like that's probably the power that I want the most for Cable, because it's super thematic.
Just
or
spend, what did you just spend power to get more dice?
Yeah, or give Psylocke some like actual like telekinetic control because she has that. But if she had a bow, she'd probably be like the best 4th threat in the game. To be completely honest.
I would have like almost no question about it. I mean, so at this point, the way that I've like retooled the roster, I think Spider-Man's or Spider-Woman is going to stay in
Okay.
because because I added Shield, so now it's
That makes more sense.
yeah. So now she's kind of integral for.
So you added Shield. What are you doing?
Oh man,
We tried talking you into Shield like 2 weeks ago, and you were like, "No, I don't want to play."
No,
Shield.
this is different. I feel good about this. This is
no. I don't want to play Shield. My name's Sam, and I don't want to play Shield.
Have you seen this monstrosity that I've built? It's
is
ridiculous.
It in your notes?
It's in my notes. Yeah.
Okay, let me take
it's Red Skull, Fury, Thanos, Malekith.
This is not you, Sam. You're not going to be happy playing this.
I am happy playing that.
But I've
already been happy playing that. It's what?
But it has Skull.
Yeah, I'm over that.
Okay, fair enough.
It was a long, hard road out of hell, but or into hell. I'm not sure which one yet.
Fair.
But I'm over it. It's just a game, so
okay.
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm done. Right. I'm done with principles.
All right, Sam.
It's hard to play Thanos, right? And then be like, no, I have principles.
Does this mess with
the principles are.
You know the best part about this though? I know it's like still 6 months away, but I don't think this messes with either me or Joey.
I don't think so. I think it's solid. It's going to take me 6 months to learn this roster because it's got just as much room for pilot error as it has like you have no idea what I'm going to do. So what are you going to do?
That's fair.
It's a big question that it asks, and I have to know what I'm going to do. And
I better figure that out.
Yeah, there's too many modes for it to just be like, oh no. That's what I think is going to keep me interested in it. Is that it's literally a 4 affiliation roster. So
that's fair. I still don't know what I'm doing in mine. Like, I still have the same questions basically.
I like this. All the questions in this are literally just like. What do I want to play? Well, how do I want to play it? And like, who is the person I'm playing?
It's also like, I was thinking about it and I was talking with some other people and it's like, I could just, instead of adding like Storm or Emma or somebody like that, I could just add Dynamo.
Dynamo is really good.
Dynamo is really good, especially in X-Force where you can like, one, you got shock beams and 2.
It's budget cable, right?
It's budget cable. And 3, being able to reroll 2 of their dice and add 2 dice to your defense is kind of stupid.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So I definitely hit the wall with Black Order over the past like the games that I played this week after the games that I played the first like week and a half with it.
Yeah.
Where like I started hitting.
You know what? Save it for the episode. Let's talk to the people about how it took 1 week.
The journey continues. Yeah, for sure.
1 week was all it took.
Well, you know. This is the same place that I was in when I basically dropped off of Black Order to play unaffiliated Thanos. Except fair. Now it's just like 5 affiliations instead of no affiliations.
That's fair. We're done with the league now, aren't we? Like this was last week?
Last week, yeah. I haven't checked in on the outstanding games after
played it. Yeah.
Hey, everyone, ping.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Giselle, sure thing. Welcome. All right, I'm going to get this going. Ready?
Yeah, I was born ready.
Are you sure about that?
No, I'm not sure I was born ready.
But... Your list changes every day.
Oof. No.
Indeed.
No. I'm happy with this one, though. That's the difference.
Maximum effort. In this war, there's no surrender. He's not alive, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
So we don't play the intro then?
It is fun. I hit. It's on preview, not live. God damn it.
Superhero in the world. Touché.
Okay. Retry. Ready and go.
Perfectly balanced. As all things should.
Maximum effort. In this war, there's no surrender. He's not alive, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
You don't like a fair fight.
I think you're wrong. Which part? All of it.
Think you're the only superhero in the world?
Touché.
All right, welcome back to another week of the Rogue Agents. And what type of show would it be if we did not mess up the beginning? So there we go. Giselle, I'm sorry. Just it's supposed to be mind blowing,
and it is every week.
Is it Josel or Giselle? Like I feel like it might be Josel. Like Joselle. Is it French?
Maybe it's Joselle. Like
Joselle. Joselle.
Hey, look at that.
Okay, there we go. Look at that.
Rather be
all
like
right. Anyways, welcome back to the Rogue Agents for your, I don't know, your content.
Things are gonna happen.
Things are gonna happen. We're gonna talk about some pivot points tonight. So first of all, as always, thank you for those who are here to watch the live stream and hang out with us.
Man.
Thank you to the listeners in general, and thank you to our patrons for supporting the show. Something came up this last week where somebody had mentioned, "Hey, just sorry guys, I can no longer be a patron. Life stuff happens." And it's like I just want to say we appreciate anybody who does want to be a patron, and we appreciate those who don't. Like it's nothing that you ever really have to like do or feel like you can't keep doing. Like life happens. So if it ever gets to a point like that, man, it's cool. I just wanted to say that publicly. That nobody should. I hope nobody feels like I have to support these guys.
I didn't take it that way. I took.
I didn't either. I just
wanted to make sure that we knew that it wasn't something we did, which I appreciate because
that's true. I guess I do
a lot of things that we did.
Yeah, it could be like, your guys' show is not nearly as good as I thought it was, and you promised all these patron rewards, and now we're like,
and you guys are really bad with the post office. These things are true.
Yeah,
these things are true.
We love you. Speaking of which, I'm gonna draw probably the patron rewards for this month tomorrow. It's a little late already for that, and I forgot to set it up. So I'll do that tomorrow. And we'll get that all set up for those who it pertains to. Now on with the show, because I forgot these show notes because I was playing Hogwarts Legacy some more and I beat it, so I'm happy about that. And I lost track of time. I beat the story and I looked at the game time. I had 29 hours of game time.
That's pretty
good. There's still a lot of like side quests and stuff I didn't do yet. So yeah,
doing too fast.
I went a little too fast. Well, I was like I'm so close to the end. I just want to see how the story ends. Like I get to that point of games. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we got. Hot takes, cold drinks. I don't have a beverage tonight because I forgot, and I just have Mountain Dew.
That's a beverage.
It is a beverage, but it's not the beverage that I want.
Well, I'll be drinking alone tonight with an Elysian altered contact tart.
Oh, it's not Elysian, that's Elysian.
What? All right. Whatever.
It's made in Washington. It's Elysian Fields.
Elysian Fields.
Yeah.
Allegiance Fields.
Yeah, it's Elysian. I'm pretty sure they're brewed in Washington because like that's where.
Well,
there's like if anybody's from Washington, there's our local radio show there called The Men's Room, which is really really good. If you've never listened to it and you're from Washington, check it out. Really, really good. They actually make their own beer, and
it says it's from Seattle, Washington.
Oh my god, Seattle. All right, let's where were we? Any big announcements? TTS season 10 or X has come to a close, minus the cuts. I did not make it. Sam did not make it.
I didn't know. I went 3-2 like a champ because I didn't play week 1, and then I went my week.
I went
at my last one.
I went 3-2-1. Had a draw because right match was baller.
Oh yeah, because you guys went like yeah, you were in the zone together.
We were. It was like we were at the point where it was like I could literally just run away with Bill in that game, and he's like, "Yeah, probably." And I was like, but I want to slap and you want to slap too. And he's like, let's do it. And so I did it. And like, okay, because I did that, let's call it a draw. And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. It's more fun to slap, you know?
That's fun. How many foes did you play?
I played, okay, so this is actually like real news. Across 6 games, I played 3 spider foes. Like that seems like a lot. Like one person playing 3 spider foes. And I'm kind of curious what other people's schedule looked like. If foes are really like making that big of, I guess I could just look at Longshanks and see.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to see if other people like were noticing a lot of stuff they don't normally see. Because like, when's the last time you like? I'd expect like one foe.
No,
but I
5 and
literally
1
played.
foes in East. There's 6 and
Yeah.
0 foes in West. Like they were all over the place, doing well.
Oh, and I tell you what, my game was against your semi-local.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad when like stuff happens. Like he has some really bad dice at the beginning, and then I had some really hot fire dice. Psylocke is life, and I could never play a game without her now. At this point of my MCP career, because man, she is just so amazing. She's on my shirt too. She's like, there we go.
She's good. I think
She's real
right?
good. She's real good. Yeah, I love Psylocke. Like she's
4th threat with a 7-die builder. Like
okay. So let's talk about we talked about this offline a little bit. Let's talk about it right here.
Sure.
Okay, so what is the difference between Malekith and Psylocke doing an attack?
Their threat value.
Their threat value. And I guess he has
maybe
Pierce.
the range, right? Because like
He
his
has
range is
Pierce.
basically like 5 for his charge, and hers is like
Okay, so hear me out on
for her
this.
charge.
Psylocke has
Yeah.
more round 1 potential than Mal in most lists.
All right, why? Break that one down.
Okay, so cat and mouse, and then
Okay.
Cybo, and then spin 2, do the charge, 7 dice. So she's doing
right. She's got to roll
Yeah.
wild though for that Cybo.
no
right?
hit.
Hit?
A hit. It's a hit.
I mean, I've seen it fail before. That's all I'm saying.
I've watched it fail my own dice. But like my point here being is she's a 4th threat, he's a 7th threat. He has a Pierce on it, and he can count skulls, but like that's like later on in life, right?
Yeah, it's not on round one.
But she gets rerolls. But like that's the crazy thing to me is you have a 4th threat and a 7th threat who basically have the same builder, except for hers makes you lose a power, and his is Pierce.
And she gets
arguably
to choose too, doesn't she? Gets to choose.
Energy or Mystic. So it's like she's really good. And anybody who says otherwise, like fight me. I will show you Psylocke. She's just God. If you're playing X-Force, you're not planning on playing Psylocke or testing with her,
You're doing it wrong.
rethink. You're doing it wrong. She's probably like the most staple to that list than anything.
Are you running both her cards right now? Are you running constructs?
I'm
and
still running both her
Crimson Dawn?
cards because I cannot decide because they are both insane. Granted, I whiffed super hard with Sonic Constructs the other day.
I saw that game.
Like,
I was in and out for it, but I saw you roll like 2 hits on the initial 7 and then like re-roll like
it was
4
still
dice
2
and got
hits.
one
No,
more
it
hit.
was still like 2. No, it was still like 2 hits.
Still
Like
two.
blanked out. I was like, well, there goes that.
Yeah, buddy.
Luckily, I still killed him, but yeah, like Sonic Constructs is still really, really good. I just think they're. I think Crimson Dawn, you're gonna probably get value out of it unless Psylocke's like not in the game.
I think if you have other healing factor characters and you're running exceptional, Crimson Dawn is like even better.
Yeah, but it's like the only time that Crimson Dawn's bad is if your opponent doesn't deal with Psylocke, but at that point you're okay with because she's just running crazy, killing things.
Yeah,
like I feel like people have to deal with Psylocke; they can't just ignore her. I don't think it's good for people to ignore her unless they could put her on a flank all by herself where she has nothing to do, and then she can't abandon it.
I think she's going to take a minute to get used to. I think that she's going to. You have to basically get into that range 3, like outside of 2, inside of 3.
Yeah.
And throws, right? She's a martial artist. Everybody knows martial artists don't like getting stuff thrown at them.
That's like her one big weakness, but it's like you run her near cable and your other 3 threat, and you just body block the throws. Like,
gross.
It's nice. Or terrain, just body block throws, and it helps a lot. Yeah, sorry, I was not trying to go on a Psylocke.
She seems good. I haven't put her on the table yet. I've wanted her to get her in on the Black Order team or under Thanos or something, just to get even more dice on that 7-die builder.
Man, I will say one thing though. Like, I have not played a game without Psylocke since she was spoiled, and I haven't regretted it. Every single time she's felt like, yeah, this was a good pick. Like, it's so hard to find out where she doesn't want to be.
You mean Killmonger, right? You haven't.
Yeah, Killmonger. But you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to be like, where doesn't she want to be on the table? Because she's pretty mobile, so she's fine on Ds. She's great at killing, so she's good at target.
Yeah.
Like, she does everything I want her to do. Like, it's great. So what about you? How's your Black Order list going?
It kind of gone the same way that my last Black Order list went. Actually, no, my first Black Order list went. That was basically like, wow, this is really fun, and then you run into things that are somewhat teched for the matchup, and it's less fun. And so I've just gone into full blown Thanos degeneracy, I think, at this point, and I'm revisiting that part of my roots. So now I'm just running Thanos with whoever I want to run him with instead of running him with Black Order. And I'm enjoying it even more. It's fantastic. I have
That's fair.
4 leaderships in my roster
So-
right now.
So it's not Black Order that
They're
you
all
love.
viable.
It's just Thanos.
It's basically just Thanos, yeah. And I've been reading Kieran Gillen's Eternals run right now, which is like Thanos is like I'm in the thick of the Thanos stuff in that run, and I'm just loving
Nice.
every second of it right now.
Awesome. Right. Is there
Inspirational.
anything else that we need to cover? I think that's it for announcements and any type of news. Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the topic. We're talking about pivoting. You want to go ahead and just lead us off?
Well,
I
I
don't know
think
how to lead this
that
off.
I mean we talked about like understanding or noticing pivot points, but I think that the topic was really just like how to get the most out of your games, especially if you don't get to play as many games as you want to, and since none of us get to play this game professionally. At least not without having some other sort of income stream.
Yeah.
That's not really nobody gets as many games as they want to, basically. So, how do you make the most out of it? So I know some people take very detailed notes about their games. I've tried that. I've done some of that. I know that some people just like log every game that they can with like the Longshanks details where it's just like, crisis, threat, leaders, and move on. And I think some people do absolutely none of that. Some people just like look at their dice after games and blame those. I mean, that's me like more often than I want to admit, but basically, win or lose, it was probably for a few reasons. How do you identify what those reasons are? I think that they're usually easier to notice when you lose than they are than when you win. Like knowing that like, oh, I did this, specific combination of characters. I had priority. I, ran a somewhat set play to get myself, positioned on the table. And then the game just kind of broke my way from there. You really don't get too much from that game. You learn that, people haven't caught on to your shtick yet, more so than you actually learn that like your play worked, or you learn that, the pieces that you brought accomplished the job that you brought them for. But again, you're not actually you're not getting anywhere near as much as you do when you throw Supergiant in the middle of the table because you know that she has to line up right in the middle to double walk to the center point, and then you find out that she can't make it to a side B. You're like, oh, wow, that's good to know. That's something that I could have mathed that out, but why would I do that? I just wanted to see where things went from there. So like,
I use games that I have no stake in.
Yeah.
Like I didn't pay for a tournament. I didn't like TTS leagues are perfect for that because it's like I'm guaranteed to get a game that week. I have time set aside for it. I'm gonna get time, and I'm gonna do some stuff with it to test. Like I'm gonna run Sidewalk, and I'm gonna see what I can do, and I'll be like, let's go ahead and just jam Sidewalk down her throat and see if she can survive. Okay, she didn't. Let's not do that again. Like.
That one didn't work. Let's try again. Line them up.
Yeah. So it's very much like use your, I guess, no stakes games for like trying stuff out like that.
Yeah.
But, like talking about pivot points is realizing like when like it comes back to a conversation we had before about like, hey, I don't want to attack here. So I'm going to give you prio if I accidentally kill this person.
Right.
I really am not gaining anything by killing this person. Or I need to kill this person, or I have the opportunity to daze this person, and I'm going to go ahead and go up like 3 VP swing. And this is the pivot point of the game to where I'm swinging back super hard. Being able to recognize those is super, super important to being a better MCP player in general. And,
sometimes that pivot point is like, it's a turn or two out. So that's something that, in observing your last game that you had playing against the Spider Foes team, like the Spider Foes player was up on score pretty much for the entire game on you, by a point or two around even.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end,
but I felt fine the entire game.
Right.
Is like it's like that's kind of something what you're getting at. Is it's like I was so high up on attrition that I was like, well, I'm just gonna get to the point where I'm outscoring him because he can only score 2 points a round.
Mm-hmm.
X versus new meta, absolutely. People don't respect it enough.
It slaps, right?
Because it slaps, yo. But like that game specifically, we look at that is I sit there and I think, cool, he's got this point. If I can kill this character, maintain priority, and do this, then I'm not falling too far behind, and I can catch up, as long as I keep dazing the right characters with the right characters. And that's how it played out, is being able to see that line of I'm going to use attrition to score out VPs. And I think people get too locked into I'm just going to attrition and kill everything that I can.
Or the other side of it, which is, maybe you don't attrition enough at all in the earlier rounds, and you're just trying to kind of lean into, being up on score. And just
which can work.
Points. It can.
Does it always? No.
No, far from it. Because, at some point, the dice get involved again. So like you can try to take the dice out of the game just by running away. But, outside of very, very few games that I've played and seen, at some point, the engagement is going to happen. And if you have done, basically nothing to whittle your opponent down or, scratch some damage, even if it's just, assault and peppering across all their pieces. If you've done nothing and they've done something to you, when the actual fight does happen, you are behind on the fight, even if you are up on score. I think that's something that it kind of looked like in the game that you guys played last night, where outside of that, Mysterio traps turn into Sabretooth, which was hilarious.
I was dying. I was like I'm just gonna aggressive because this is funny.
Yeah, just pow, pow, pow. But even at that point, he was down on power, and healing factor is definitely becoming more prominent in the game, and that's one of the reasons why I am feeling less comfortable, just kind of doing the Black Order attrition forward game plan as the basically the primary game plan. Like I think that you might need more options than a fairly easily telegraphed approach that, even if it has incredibly efficient dice and, good pieces backing it up, it's still just you're three speed bumps away from not being able to get to where you're trying to go on the clock that you're trying to get there with.
And the worst part about it is you don't know when that speed bump's going to come up.
Yeah. Well, you have an idea when it's going to come up, because you can look across the table and you're like, okay, I've got to 3 power becomes incredibly important when you're looking at cards like Odin's Blessing or Exceptional Healing across the table, because you're just like, okay, I've got to whatever happens here has to happen in one go, otherwise it may not be worth it. And when you can tack on to things like bodyguards and Too Dangerous to Ignore style, the taunt style abilities, where now your attacks aren't even able to be focused. If they're not able to be focused like the way you want them to, if they're being like spread around just more than you want them to, like, or even if you're like, I'm just going to go ahead and take out that Honey Badger, Luke Cage, or Okoye, and they don't go down as easily as you think they should, or you expected them to,
or even if you can Incinerate and Honey Badger on them and they're rolling 1 defense dice and you're rolling 7 and they don't die. That's worse.
That stuff happens, right? Like, it's just that's the
will of the dice
forward game plan. Yeah, exactly. So,
but talking pivot points. Yeah. So
what happens when the pivot point is turn 0? Like as soon as you reveal, you're just like, oh.
Well, that's actually like a really valid point. Is just like let's talk about Black Order. A lot of times that actually happens to Black Order specifically. You drop Black Order and you're like, cool, I'm gonna go Thanos Corvus Proxima. Right. And next thing you know, there are 7 wide. Like what? Like
there's 7 wide with like damage reduction and everything else. You're like, crap. I was really thinking that he was gonna, bring his Hulk, and we were gonna go like, 3 or 4 to 3 or 4 and just toe to toe the whole game. But no, actually, they opted to not choose violence today, or they just opted to do it on a wider scale. I think.
But then
that's
what do you do about that though? Like you just gotta. Well, at least with Thanos, you have the option to pivot because you can go full control.
You can try, right? But like it turns out, like Thanos versus like 5 models, especially if he doesn't have like I was running a 1 gem Thanos, right? So like mind Thanos, and it just it's not he does not generate enough power without being able to connect with things. So like, he needs dice to kind of break his way. And if they don't, then he just can't control enough in those games. 5's a lot to control. It is. 7 is a lot to control.
So is that like one of those games though, where it's like, are we at a point in this game where you could see squad reveal, and it's very much like, well, that's game. Like, is that a thing that can actually happen in this game now, or do you think there's still always a chance?
I think there's always a chance. I just don't think it's very big sometimes. I don't think that it's when I don't think that like 0% chance game happens when we line up across the table, shake hands, and look at each other's roster. That's not where it happens. But I think that you can definitely.
I do think actually in the previous meta that was a case in a lot of situations, like where you'd have legacy virus and like I can't win this game. Like there is nothing I can do that's going to win this game.
All right, so let's talk panic and paranoia. Yeah. These are very fast. They're so fast that I feel paranoia more so than, I'm sorry, not panic, but senators. New panic. New panic.
You can't cash it in though.
So you can't cash it in. There's just so many.
It's fine.
Them, right?
So it's fine.
Yeah, right.
Because that's all that's complained about is the fact that you can cash it in.
Yeah.
But now you have 6, which is arguably more VP scored through the extract than panic ever allowed.
Yeah, right.
Think about that one. Think about that one for a second. You can score more on senators than you could ever panic with cashing in.
And honestly, paranoia is similar, right? Because you're getting a bonus point every turn. So if you were if you were on a 4-turn clock with paranoia,
which is hilarious to me because panic, people talk about panic being so broken and the fact that they can cash in, but arguably senators and paranoia are more VP scored throughout the game than panic ever was.
Yep, and
it blows my mind.
They're so fast.
It's so fast. It's so fast.
I guess they're fair outside of at face value they're fair, right? Because they don't necessarily advantage prio over not prio.
Senators and Brotherhood,
I mean, that's almost like a special case, but even then, it's still not. The advantage isn't in them having prio or not having prio. The advantage is in that synergy between the Mystique leadership and the extra power generation
and deception
and the non-movement that Juggernaut and Hulk have, and the fact that deception is absolutely an absolutely amazing card.
It is. It's fair and balanced. So I guess my question to you then is, you kind of brought this up, and I think I'm asking the question you were going to ask me. So,
that's what we're here for.
How do you recognize these pivot points? So let's say like it's senators, and I'm playing X-Force, and I am only 4 wide, and my opponent is 6 wide. Like, I think immediately that's one of those turn zeros. Okay, I'm at a pivot point here. I need to absolutely adjust my game plan and figure out what to do. But it's like, how do you get those game plans though?
So I mean, so let's keep this in context, right? So if you brought a 4 wide to play senators, what?
Sorry.
What was your plan to begin with? Like, what did you think your opponent was going to line up across the table?
3 wide, obviously.
Going to make you feel comfortable.
Real talk though, like something Senators is what 16 now.
19.
So if I'm playing, god damn. Okay, so 19. I don't know how I'd end up.
16.
Okay, so let's talk paranoia because I don't know how I'd go 4 wide on Senators.
Sure, I think you can 4 wide on paranoia. For the most part,
paranoia you can, I think, because you just control one side and you're probably fine.
Yep, you're gonna fight for parity. I think. I think you're parity early, and then see where it goes from there.
Unless you're against Brotherhood, because they're just going to deception your model who grabbed one, and they're going to go 3-1. You know, that's unless you're X-Force, because X-Force has some of the best anti-deception tech in the game. Fun fact.
I mean, grunts are pretty good for it, for what that's
I guess
worth.
grunts are fair. But if I don't want to play grunts, I have cat and mouse, and I have anti-deception tech. Get on my level. Everybody come play X-Force. All right, real talk though. So like 16, I'm 4 wide. Let's say Cable, it's Cable, Psylocke, 23, and Logan, right? Because that's like my like go-to 16 right now.
Okay.
If I was looking at that, I'd probably have Logan off on one side by himself. He's gonna be the one that grabs at least one, and then Psylocke, 23, and Cable on the other side. That's probably how I set that up. It's fairly simple. And then my opponent.
Are you bringing Paranoia in your roster?
I used to, and I'm still debating on if I should or not, but I'm also kind of scared by it at the same time.
So currently the answer is no?
Currently the answer is no.
So if you play
but I
Paranoia,
wouldn't, but I don't hate Paranoia at 16 because my list is freaking Cable, Psylocke, 23, like, and Logan. Like, it's such a good 16. Come at me.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I have, so here's the best thing about another Psylocke tangent. Bringing Psylocke and Logan, I have 2 characters that can very reliably extremely threaten the center line.
Yeah.
So it's oh, man. Holy Machina, I'll answer your question. We get to the listener questions, so you have to wait for that one. But like Paranoia, God, like if I see, let's just say, because 16, they're probably going to be 5 or 6 wide when I'm 4 wide, right? My biggest mindset goes to, okay, do they have any way to threaten my center line grab, such as a Logan or a Mystique Deception, or let's say Doctor Strange, because people forget Doctor Strange has an amazing center line screw you over with his builder just pushing you towards him, and you're like,
oh, you're talking OG Strange.
Yeah, OG Strange.
Wow.
Because like,
yeah.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Like, he has like a mini deception if he hits.
It's good. Yeah, no, he's got a hit.
Yeah.
And he should, right? Because it's perfect knowledge reroll all.
Yeah.
But man, he
at
just
least 1
doesn't
damage.
sometimes.
You know?
Yeah, it's an energy attack, but I've definitely warmed to OG. I feel like he's much better in Suns and Convocation than he is as a Defender's leader. And I don't know exactly why that is. I think it's probably because even just a range 1 place on his base size.
It's just the fact that we talked about last week where 5-threat leaders make you feel so bad when you're playing them.
I guess. I mean, he was my leader in Convocation like more often than not.
That's fair.
Just because he's really difficult to take down. So,
but
it feels different because you chose him.
Sam,
you chose.
Let's try to stay on point, Sam.
How many points? How many points are we staying on?
We're on what I'm evaluating with my 4 wide versus a 5 or 6 wide, and this is like leading up to the pivot point where it's like, cool. I know that I need to take out a model, so I'm gonna go ahead and wait, and I'm not gonna go with my center grabs. I'm gonna like let you go for the center grabs, and if you don't, basically I play a stalling game because I have 2 characters that are very, very threatening on anybody who is going for the center grab. So it kind of like looks at that, and I think with like my list specifically, my options are stay aggressive or go defensive, which I think that's pretty much the lines for anybody. Just what can you actually like orchestrate to happen?
Sure.
Which with me is not very much. I just have aggressive. I don't have defensive. Like that might be like one of X-Force's struggles. You know, if you think about it, you're going through it, and it's like, well, a lot of teams actually have the option of, cool, I'm gonna go defensive now and play a turtle game, where it's like X-Force is like, I can go forward. Like,
okay, so I mean, does that when you are limited by that sort of, I don't know, faction specific approach, or you know, just feeling like you're locked into a strategy, whether or not you think it's the right one for the game, what's your like fallback point when it comes to pivoting like around that?
Bill and Eyes, but that's seeing like that's why Bill and Eyes is in my specific roster. Sorry, but it's so easy for me to go to my roster because I think about this stuff constantly when I'm doing my rosters. And like my turn 1s, it's like Bill and Eyes is like really there, so I have that safe grab and I can play a turtle game. And like that one character allows me to play that turtle game. So when I see something like Brotherhood Mystique, I'm going to grab Bill instead of Logan because now I have a turtle play.
Okay. Specifically to paranoia, how are you looking to break parity? Right? So at some point...
Through death.
So you're just hoping that they basically like feed you a trash model sooner or later that's holding an objective. And...
Well, that's the glory about, like, let's say X-Force right now, because like when you're running the core of Cable, Psylocke, and Logan, you have two characters that are just murder machines and incredibly mobile. Yes. So they don't have to feed me the easy to kill model because I'm gonna get the easy to kill model.
Okay, you're coming to get them. You're coming to get them. How are you maintaining parity then, right? Because you're 4 wide. You've got to keep 2 people close together. Otherwise, you're gonna fall behind. Or are you just not worried about it? Are you okay?
So this is where you have your hard flank and then you have a soft flank, which would probably be Bill and Eyes, because Bill can go and get Eyes and then run back away, and now he's holding the back secure. And that's what's keeping you parity, and that's why it comes down to like the opponent. I almost said the enemy, the opponent's, the opponent's roster, and evaluating that and saying, okay, is this person going to go hard attrition, hard control, hard scenario? Like, which way are they going to go? Or if I see somebody that has like direct, like things that's going to impact me a specific way, it's be like, cool. Instead of taking Logan and going hyper aggressive, I'm going to take Bill and I'm just going to turtle round 1 and I'm going to get parity. Like, that is my goal, is to maintain parity round 1. And then round 2, I'm going to have priority and I'm going to bust out the turtle shell because turtles are in a half shell, and then they're going to go crazy.
Okay. I mean, that's not too different than what I'm doing with this Thanos Plus roster, where it's just, I'm looking at what my opponent has for pieces, and I'm evaluating, like, is this like I'm going to bring my smattering of big boys to this game under one affiliation's banner or another, and just see where this goes, or am I going to try and bring one of my more scenario focused squads, and just trying to understand that in turn 0 is. It's a big part of the game.
It really is, because like, especially when you're playing with such characters, like you have Thanos, I have Cable. Yeah, there's a huge difference in characters. I'm not trying to compare our things, but you also have Red Skull and you have Malekith and you have Hulk. Like, you have such high. My point here is like we almost shoehorn ourselves into, like, not cookie cutters because it's like our own cookie,
Sure.
But it's like. We shoehorn ourselves into these little corners and these little, I guess, shells or cores of a roster. Like, I am so addicted to Logan, Psylocke, and Cable. Like, and it probably hurts me more than anything. Just like, I should probably be playing Bill here, or I should probably play wider. I should do this, this, and this. And I create all these options in my list, but I can't tell you the last time I touched Domino or Honey Badger, or like it's just always Cable, Logan, Psylocke, and then Phil from there.
And that's how playing Black Order has been for me, because it's literally just like, well, I guess the only decision point in the Black Order roster has been, am I playing a Thanos roster or a Corvus roster?
Yeah.
Or a Thanos and Corvus roster. But most Thanos rosters are also Corvus rosters. But, but basically, just looking at it and going, okay, like, the decision points aren't, all that different. The model selection doesn't even change that much. It's just, do I swap this 8 points out for those 8 points?
Yeah.
Or, these 7 for those 8, depending on what the actual thread of the match is. And I think a lot of that is where I've said for a while, like the Asgard roster that I brought to NashCon, that I did not need a 10th slot in that roster. The 10th slot was literally, I had to force it onto the table if I wanted it. Yeah. Because I had all of the other 9 spots covered. Basically every scenario that I needed to have a decent team on was covered.
Well, this is going down roster creation, but do you think if you ever find yourself in a roster like that, you just throw some random like anti-meta character in there as a punt to like freak your opponent out?
I think so. I mean,
like I you're getting real like nitty gritty here, but like, let's say you have a 10th character slot and you're like, cool. What am I going to put in here? And you just randomly put Super Giant. And then it makes your opponent be like, why does this person have Supergiant? Like, what type of crazy tech do they have going on?
I think that Mal's Mal or Thanos are better for that type of a roster.
Is it really though? Okay, so let's think
so.
about it. Okay, we're going completely off topic here now, but we're gonna pivot we're gonna pivot the conversation over to this now.
Okay.
So like, but let's say most people nowadays have a tool on their list to deal with Mel or Hulk because they're so prevalent.
Sure.
So why am I going to bring something to my roster that people probably already have a tool and a plan for? And even if I don't plan on playing that character and it alters the list, that means that they're going to have somebody that can deal with like a big, like chunky model, which means that your smaller models are probably just getting one shot. Which is actually probably why the state of the game is the way it is right now, where games feel so fast and models just die like crazy. It's because people are expecting Mal and Hulk, and they're like, wow, I found out that this character can deal 10 damage like the drop of a hat. Like, and so it creates like...
Psylocke again?
Yeah. So then I end up with these characters that are just like great murder machines.
Yeah.
And then I take it into the characters that are not Mal and Hulk, and then they just die. So it's like, it almost makes it seem like if you have Mal or Hulk on your roster, like you're almost hurting your lower threat characters by giving your opponent the idea that they need that tool. And then that tool just becomes overly oppressive for what is needed.
I mean, okay, so let's further diverge. Do you need lower threat characters anymore? I mean, I think you
Guardians.
do. So I'm not saying that like, like, oh, you don't need lower threat characters anymore. But like we've gone from like
I think it depends on what your plan is. Like, what's your plan with your roster? And like that's like what it all comes down to. Really, is like my plan with my roster is to play Cable, Logan, Psylocke. Like, no, I don't need no freaking 2 threats. I got Honey Badger, but again, when's the last time she made the table?
I think 14 threat was really distorting.
It really was, yeah.
And now that 14 is gone, there's a lot of situations where like if you had a 4 threat leader before, you basically had to run 2 2s on your roster to be 5 wide at 14.
Now, who cares? Who cares about 2s now?
No, like I don't know if like who cares, but like outside
no,
of
who
like,
cares? Who cares?
Team,
you heard it here first. Rogue Agents podcast. Who cares about the 2s?
Straight out of my mouth. Absolutely.
Do you even have any 2s in your roster? I don't think you do.
I do. I have Bob.
Oh, okay. You have Bob. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But no, it really comes down to like, what do you want to do? Like, I could absolutely run a list that I run every single 2 threat in the game. Is it going to be good? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think you want an affiliated
so
2. I think you want either a 2 that gets a job done, right? That's just like, okay, it like.
But I think the pivot here. The pivot here is a 2 went from being a necessary piece that you had to have in your roster to now the 2s are providing flexibility in your turn 0.
Yes. And so like what I'm looking for from a 2 now is I'm looking for basically getting to an affiliation at a cheaper price point.
Yeah.
Usually at the cost of like downgrading a 3 or a 4 threat. And
yeah.
Just to bring a big splash piece in, or to bring a wider team at a lower threat value than is expected. And so like Bob's in my roster literally because he's Hydra and Cabal affiliated, and that's where I need.
Here's another pivot for you. We're staying on topic because we're just pivoting left and right here. Okay, so if I could drop down a threat to grab Bob, why can't I just throw in more 4s in my list like I did, where I'm running 4 or 5 4s? Like, what's like, you know what I mean?
Because I like the accordion personally. So like I can't speak for you, but I like having the threat of being able to pardon the pun. I like to threaten being able to go wider than my opponent and also taller than
I think that mindset though is like why I'm so torn on my direction I want to go with my 10th character slot. Is I can either double down on what I'm already doing, or I can give myself the option to threaten a wider team, or I could give myself the option to threaten a scenario team. But the issue is I have so many options of what I could do with only one character slot. But I guess a really cool part is I only have one character slot and I have all these options to do.
Sure. Okay, so here's a different question that's like the same. how wide do you want to be? Obviously, this is going to vary from roster to roster, from player to player.
Okay,
right?
so Sam,
like,
Sam,
how wide do you want to be?
Sam, let's real talk here.
Yeah.
Do you think me, Dizzard, Dylan, whatever you want to call me, can handle mentally a 7 wide list?
I mean, I've seen you play Guardians pretty well, so I think that
that's
you
back
could
when you were
probably
running
do it.
them with like 5 and 6 wide. But I don't think I've ever actually ran a 7 wide list.
I don't
like,
think that 7 wide is something that like,
when I run
is really
when I run over 5 characters, I
encouraging.
forget I have a 6th character somewhere on the table. like I've had it where I'll be playing a game
Yeah.
and the person's like, I'm like, all right, that's it for me. And they're like, yeah, 23 is behind the building over there.
like,
I'm like, oh,
I guess I should go with her then.
yeah, I knew that.
I mean, I forgot to deploy somebody the other night because it
There you
was
go.
more models than I'd played within 10 days or so. And I was like, oh, okay, whoops.
But it happens to me. Like I get so, especially when I've been doing the same thing for quite a while, where it's like, and Cable, Logan, Psylocke, Sabretooth, and then all of a sudden I'm playing 19 is like add 23 or add Badger, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, I have one more character, and like, and it creates interesting things. But I'm also like, I am actually curious of that thought process, not thought process, but like that thought of like, when you're building your roster, is there really I think there's an argument nowadays that instead of throwing a 2 in there, why not just run 5 4s or 4 4s? Because I think most people are like, I want 3 4s and no more. Like, why lock ourselves into these list building restrictions? You know what I mean? Like, let yourself play what you want to play. If you can make it work at a threat value, freaking go for it. I'm running 4 4s right now. I got Logan, Sabretooth, Psylocke, and Bill, and I'm thinking about throwing Dynamo in this list. Like 5 4s, let's go.
That's so many 4s. I think that when right now that the grunt mechanic is kind of starting to catch on, and I that might sound silly, but it's been around for better part of a year for most people who've been playing with them. But I think that now that there's a spread of grunts, right, where you have the secure grunts, 2 different flavors of extract grunts, and then we'll see what else is in the pipeline. I still hope that grunts isn't like something that we see a tremendous amount of in the game, but I'm sure that we haven't seen the last of it either. So
You know what I want to have a grunt model is multiple man.
I want to see a devil dinosaur grunt that's like a really difficult grunt to actually take down, and have Moon Girl be like kind of easy to take down, but it's like you're just always gonna like kind of like keep her hidden in the back or something. I think multiple man would be great. I've wanted multiple man in the game for a while, but I don't want to see him as a grunt. I just want to see like
No. I want to see like a main copy of multiple man, and then
Yeah.
like a grunt character for his copies.
Okay. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Jamie.
Fair.
Now I'm completely derailed for what that's worth. But the point I was trying to get to was that now that we're kind of like into this, like, grunts have been around for a while, people are starting to get the hang of it. I think that grunts open up playstyles where you maybe don't need to bring an additional 2 threat.
Well, because
or
you
a
just bring
second 2
Fury
threat
or Shadowlands, and you have a 2 threat as a
Right.
grunt, basically.
Pretty much. Like, that grunt is going to do most of what you would be asking a 2 threat to do in most cases.
Unless it's Badger.
Yeah, so
then
Bat is
it's
very
better.
different. Nebula is very different.
Which is why like, I struggled so long to like not
Rocket
put Fury or Skull in my list, because like having that grunt with X-Force helps so much.
I mean, Skull throws off all your math.
Yeah,
You're on like
then I can't run 5
so
4s.
many 4s. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is getting hard. If you run 5 4s, do you run Emma?
It's in
that
the
point?
it's in the consideration. Yeah, it actually is. It's like my 10th character
hard.
slot is either Emma, Apex, Dynamo, or Storm. So I'm probably gonna end up at 5 4s. Like, to be honest, like, but the only way I don't end up at 5 4s is if I go Storm.
I mean, when I ran Weapon X and I wasn't running, I was only running Honey Badger for most of when I was running Weapon X, and I missed having someone who could just go and score me points somewhere.
Yeah. So what's funny about that is when I played Weapon X and I didn't play Honey Badger, I missed Honey Badger. I was like, man,
absolutely.
she would be
Yep.
so good right here. And then I played against Red Cathal, and he had a honey badger. It was a Weapon X mirror, and he just nuked the crap out of me. And I was like, yeah, honey badger needs to be in this.
I think that having an affiliated 2 goes a really long way, and it's not something to overlook.
It is. All right. So we talked about pivot. Oh man, it's so great to listen to people that appreciate. I love Gabby, man. Like, you should know me by now. Coffee Time says, so great to listen to people that appreciate Gabby. I think Gabby is like one of the most underrated 2s. Like, she is so scary, and like, every time when I hear my opponent say like, I have to kill this 2 threat, it makes me feel so good. And whenever I'm trying to explain to people that are newer to the game or trying to grasp X-Force or Weapon X, and they're like, how do I play Honey Badger? I'm like, Honey Badger's goal is to die and then be annoying. Like, let her die and be annoying. If she dies and is annoying, then she completed her goal, because that means that's what, 9 damage that one of your main characters did not have to take.
Right. It's damage somebody else didn't take. They're attacks that went into a different target.
And not only that, tell me why. And Coffee Time, you can comment on this too. I have never, ever seen Honey Badger do less than like 4 damage. Like, I don't understand it. Like, tell me why Honey Badger just always has good dice when she does her builder. I don't get it. I don't get it.
The exceptional on Gabby is incredibly frustrating, because it's like, it's one of those plays where it's like, it's not a good play, but it's also not a bad play. It's just a play that can happen to you. And it's like, well, what if Gabby took, an extra activation to take down instead of you being able to get where you wanted to go?
And that it's a 2 threat, and it's like, you're already committed at that point, and you're like, I really need to get rid of this character.
Yep.
Like, God, I love Honey Badger so much. Like, honestly, I think Honey Badger impacts this game more than 23 does. Hot take right here. You heard it first.
Wow.
Let's talk about our game. Our game that we played where you're playing Black Order.
Yeah.
Who was more of an impact, 23 or Badger?
You didn't bring 23.
Exactly.
And Gabby didn't do very much in our game. In fact, it gave me a false sense of security the next time I saw Gabby across the table from me. I was like, no,
our game, she stood there and you had to kill her, and then I killed you.
But I also didn't have anything else to do with those actions.
I might be thinking of a different game.
No, it was our game. That was my take from our game, was that Gabby stood in the way and I had to kill her, but she was also there, and I didn't have anything better to do, and so I kind of went for her because it felt all right. But I did have to keep retreating from her, which wasn't fun.
Yeah, when you're playing Black Order and you're on the retreat, something is not going right, or everything's going right. Either way. So we talked a little bit about pivoting in round 0. How do you pivot and recognize the pivot in the middle of a game? Like, let's talk about Hyper Viper. He's not here to defend himself, so we can talk shit. Yeah. So you saw what happened. Why don't you go ahead and explain the situation?
He was playing his final game of this past season, and the game was very close for the length of it. And it came to a point where well-laid plans hadn't been used, and
foes player.
So he was playing into foes. He was playing into there's 2 5-0 players playing their to see basically who takes the bracket, and he spent all of Bill's power, and so the well-laid plans turn, there was no power to prevent the 1 damage that he rolled on well-laid plans, and so Bill dropped a paranoia disturbance, and that gave the Spider Foes player the opportunity to, basically pull ahead in the final turn. And there you have it.
Yeah. So, and the pivot point should be like, and this is also comes down to what we talked about earlier, where you're like, cool, let's talk about the game with Ben and I, where it's like, okay, I have Bill, I have points. If I just run away, I win right here and there. And he has a very, very hard time catching me. So the pivot point is, instead of being aggro, smack you in the face with a hammer and slap fight, I'm just going to walk away, and that's going to secure the game for me. And I think too often you see games, I do it to myself all the time, where it's like people get so, I guess, bloodlust, and they want to like have fun and roll dice that they don't want to run away. But it's like, if I'm in a tournament and like I paid money to be there, You better believe it. I am going to run away to the corner.
I mean, I usually will. I can't guarantee it. I certainly have made decisions to not do that.
But you probably had an out, and it wasn't like if I run away, I win. If I stay here, I probably lose this game.
I mean, I've just misread the table in very important games before. You're just like, oh, I can't do that because of this. Oh, you couldn't have done that anyway. Well, all right.
But I think like the pivot point thing in general just comes down to what we always harp on, and that's be constantly evaluating the table state. Like
yes.
Realize what's going on, where characters are, what your opponent's goals are, like what is their path to victory and what is your path to victory. That's the word I was looking for. Because if you can recognize what the paths to victory are, then you can probably pivot before your opponent even realizes you're pivoting. And when you can do that, you are a much better MCP player.
There was another moment in the game between Hyper and Blair that went like that, where there was a throw off of a point that was done that put Lizard in a position where he could just double move and wind up on a different point instead. And so now it wasn't about, I'm going to throw you here and now you've got to spend actions to get back into the fight. Because I think at the time, even Lizard might have been injured already. And so, like, coming back onto that point against a healthy model, he wasn't actually going to add to the scoring anyway. So it would have just been to fight. And he just dipped him out and ran away. So, like, that's a pivot right there. One of the best pivots I think I've seen was the TTS Finals, season 8 or 9, the Magic Nick and Lucas Finals, where there's the double move with Voodoo across the table. Just like, hold my beer. I'm going to go do this instead. What if I scored points on the other side of the board?
But like, let's think about that move though. Like he sat there and thought about it for probably like 10 minutes. Like,
right.
And then like, eventually saw the play and was like, I'm going to do this. But like, if you need to take that time and like, let's say you have that time, which he absolutely did.
Right.
Like absolutely use your time, even if you're on a clock, to find your most optimal play.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to talk about pivots, or do you want to get into the fun stuff?
Well,
if I were beating a dead horse at this point,
I mean, just okay. So like, don't throw good money after bad. If you attack something and it didn't
take
go
risks
your way, sure. But if you're at the point where you have to swing haymakers and your haymaker lands flat, like
Sam,
maybe don't throw another haymaker right away. Think about it for a second. Take a step back.
I play X-Force. My whole entire team is haymakers.
And sometimes you throw down psionic constructs and you still just do 2 damage.
That was so weird. Omnis says, dead horse, why you gotta sound a bit like that? What's real funny is me trying to explain Bill to Victoria.
The cyborg horse wolf? What? It's not hard.
She's like, I was like, I gotta get Bill still. And she's just like, who's Bill? I'm like, well, he's like this, like, imagine a horse that looks like Thor and walks on 2 legs. And she was like, why is there a horse that looks like Thor and walks on 2 legs? It's like, well, you see. And then,
because comics.
But yeah, no, I completely agree. It's very much just like, I forgot what I said now. Anyways, I agree though. Whatever it was you said, I agree.
I said I was remembering a game where I tried to smash a Miles with a Thanos, and it worked very well on turn. The first time that I tried it, and I got the days, and then I went for the KO. And this was back during the time Thanos age where you could take 3 actions with Thanos.
Yeah.
And so I literally punched Miles 3 times and did no damage.
Oh
Didn't even get the throw, and it was just like,
I think.
All right.
That reminds me of a conversation I had with somebody about Ascani-san. This person in the Discord for like the X-Force fan server had I think they said it's like a 5-target Ascani-san and did a total of 4 damage across all of the attacks. And I think that's something that I've kind of learned with MCP is you could have the best lineup of something, and if you need it to happen, just do your other option because what you need to happen isn't going to happen.
I mean, unless it does. I've
Unless it
definitely
does.
been on the other side of that, where you're just like, well, it's incredibly statistically improbable that they do more than 3 damage here.
Yeah.
And even if they do more
But
than 3 damage, I have 5, right? So like it has to be like not 4. It's got to actually be 5. I still get to roll defense dice. This is I'm okay with this. I'm gonna let it
yeah,
go. And then the Marvel dice come in, and they're just like, what if I had 7 hits with a pierce? And you're like, well.
that happens when I'm like, okay, I don't want to kill you. I just want to put you on one so I can throw you over here. And then it's like, I did 15 damage.
I was like that game you played with Hood, where you did the empowered dark lightning, and you're just like, what if
And
I
it lost me
what
the
if I
game
rolled
because I just.
all the wilds instead?
Oh my god. I was so salty. I was like, God damn it, Hood. Like, but, oh yeah, where was it going? Oh yeah, it's basically, it comes down to sometimes, like, there's a better play. Yeah, Scani-san into 5 characters seems like really, really good value.
Yeah.
But maybe you could have thrown a size 4 building, shot twice, and body slid onto a secure. And at that point, you're probably actually earning something towards victory points, which is an end state.
Yeah.
Instead of hoping for dice to go your way and not actually accomplishing anything. I think that's like what you need to evaluate when you're looking at these pivot points and decisions when you're trying to figure out what you want to do in the game. Is this progressing me towards my end state? Is this helping me towards my goal? If Ascani-san is absolutely, like, say I have an opponent within Ascani-san and they have a VP and that one VP gives me the game, absolutely I'm going to Ascani-san there.
Yeah.
Because now I'm getting extra value out of it instead of just like some.
So another pivot point kind of pitfall is the old analysis paralysis moment.
Yeah.
If all you're doing is going back through your decision tree multiple times, like, do I double move with Bucky, or do I take a shot with Bucky? Do I double move, or do I take a shot? Do I double move, do I take a shot? Like, that's not productive to figuring out what your pivot point is. That's literally just not being able to make the decision that will continue the game one way or another. Looking at the board and realizing that you need to save Bucky for your last activation, because so long as he doesn't die, and it would be very difficult for him to die because the position that you have for him on the board, he could Hydra tactics off of 3 different people, and you would have to set that up with the next action. So like, there's a difference in trying to like recognize what your actual out is, like how to get Bucky into position. And maybe it involves an opponent, like missing 2 high percentage trap rolls, or, doing 2 other things that have to break your way in order for the game to, break in your favor in the end. But if you can just stick to your game plan until the game is actually over, you still have that out. And understanding that that's also a pivot point for the game, and that your opponent might not see what you have up your sleeve, and it might take a lot of luck. But in sports ball, there's almost always a team that makes the playoffs based off of somebody else's win-loss record, or because just enough things broke their way at some point in the season. And that's not that different for a game like this. So I think that try not to get lost in analysis paralysis. Look at out of the box as much as you can for what needs to happen next.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. What fun segment do you want to do tonight? You know what I want to do? I want to reevaluate our ChatGPT Immortal Hulk. Because
I think we need to start, I think the ChatGPT segment should be something like asking ChatGPT to tell us answers like in the style of a podcast, or like in the style of a battle rap. Or like we need to like take it to the next level. I think so.
Can you do that?
Can I do that? I can't do that, but I think ChatGPT can.
I just wanted to say that I figured we'd do a different segment. We did ChatGPT like 2-3 weeks ago.
No, that's fine. I don't want to do it tonight.
But ChatGPT was absolutely wrong about Immortal Hulk. Because he is not a 4 threat.
The computer 5 said it was a 5 threat with a transformability, and either AMG is gaslighting us or ChatGPT was wrong.
Okay. All right. So what what we haven't done in a while is this versus that.
This versus that. So
Yeah.
like do you want to like take some box mates, or you want to take similar pieces?
Let's take similar pieces. I call Psylocke.
I guess Killmonger, right? Like what's
why?
I mean, they have the
She's
same health pool.
No, she's so much better than Killmonger. Okay, let's do this. All right.
He's got usurp the throne. I mean, I don't.
All right, they're both
Zemo?
6'5s.
Let's go with Zemo. I'll go with Zemo. I'll go with Zemo.
No, you say Killmonger. I
Right.
like this against Killmonger
I mean,
more.
Killmonger
'Cause they're
felt like
both
apples
four
to
threats.
apples, and plus you've been using
four
him
threats.
for her proxy. So
That's fair. No, let's do Killmonger. All right, Killmonger versus Psylocke.
Yeah.
All right. Number one, Psylocke is better. All right, next segment.
She's
all right,
got more
so
defensive tech, right? She's a martial
okay,
artist.
so
got
she's
stealth.
a 3-3-4
Mhm.
martial artist and stealth. He's what 3-3-3 or is he 4-3-3?
4-3-3.
I think he's 4-3-3, and he doesn't have any defensive tech, right? If I remember correctly.
No, his defensive tech is having a charge.
Okay. Okay. So far, Psylocke is more defensive. We're both in
Yes.
agreement.
We are in agreement. Yep.
Okay. Psylocke has a 7-die energy / mystic builder that generates power and has the potential to rob as many wilds as you roll. You could actually, if you rolled nothing but wilds and hit some crits, you could rob the person of 10 power.
Okay.
You could. What does Killmonger do?
I do a 5 and a 7. Hey, come on. Are you doing both sides of this? Like,
oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I might not have a whole lot of faith in the character, but still, I can still. So Psylocke can do how many 7-die attacks in a round? 2?
She could do a 5-die and a 7-die.
Oh, I can do a 5-die and a 7-die
well,
too.
technically, if she has power, she could do 2 7-die attacks.
It's not once per round? She's not limited to once per round?
No, she's got the builder and then the spender. Her spender is 7-die mystic.
Okay, got it.
For
I mean,
3
I've got a
power.
spender too. That's not what I was talking about.
But how much does his spender cost?
Come on, I don't know Killmonger's card off the top of my head.
Neither do I. I can read you Psylocke's card off the back of my hand.
Right? It's tattooed. Let's find out how much Eric Killmonger's got going on here. First of all, check those defensive stats. Yes, they are definitely 4-3-3. So we nailed that. We were correct. Black Ops Strike is a range 3, 7-die attack.
Okay. So
I also have that.
You do, but she makes up for the range 3 where it's range 2 because of the short move.
I mean, I have a charge though. So, I mean.
But they cost the same effectively.
All right, fine. I got a stagger. I have a wild stagger on mine.
She has a wild shock before, shock but stun before damage is dealt.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And the fact that she's probably killing you before you even get to go, so staggers are relevant.
I don't know. No, I don't understand why you're making these kind of presumptions about priority.
Let's talk though. Let's talk about that though. Like, I remember vaguely familiar that the last time I played Killmonger, every time I was hoping for the stagger, I just killed a person. So like the stagger was more often not irrelevant.
Basically worthless. He places within 1, which is actually like usually the bigger part of that.
Okay, so that she doesn't have, but she has a short move. And if she's injured, she can place within 1. She can place within 1 of herself 3 times.
I mean, that's So now we're talking about our tactics cards, though, right? Because my tactics card straight up gets you VPs. My tactics card lets you win the game during the middle of a round.
I could play dirty work and get extra power for my team.
I don't think that putting usurp the throne and dirty work into the same
no, but I would say that psionic constructs being able to give Sabretooth reroll any on Savage Finisher or whatever it's called, Savage Predator.
Yes,
unless you.
I will concede that she is a better support piece than Eric Killmonger.
But she's also a great solo piece.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, we're talking
because now let's talk about how
attacks, right?
we talked about
someone else's attack. So
you can see the support. Mm-hmm. I would say she's more offensively capable because she's doing energy damage with 7 dice or mystic, and when you're just doing physical.
No, he's energy. His
is energy. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vibranium weapons is an energy attack,
but he can't do
Pierce,
mystic
with wild Pierce.
I can't do mystic. I got rerolls that aren't relying on me killing people.
Too for killing people.
If you kill people,
I gotta kill people first. I mean, my name is Killmonger. I'm true to form.
Okay. So I'll concede the point that Killmonger. I don't know. I won't concede that actually. I do think she actually kills better than he does because she's less reliant on things to go right for her. Like she's very self-sufficient, he needs things to be going his way for him to have that that
He
boom.
wants to attack the same model twice.
Yeah, which she doesn't care.
She's not forced to do that. She gets to front load her 7-die attack, where he has to back load his 7-die attack.
Yeah. And then she can
I guess
reroll
He
any.
can do 7 and 7 if he does the spender first.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement that Psylocke is the better 4th threat.
Power creep. Well,
I honestly maybe I don't see a spot other than affiliation where Killmonger beats out Psylocke. If I'm looking at those two as my 4s, I'm taking Psylocke unless I need Killmonger for affiliation, which is only in Wakanda, but I really don't need that. So I'd rather run Panther, Shuri, and Okoye and slap in Psylocke than throw Killmonger in there in this exact conversation.
What about who wore it better? Let's do a little who wore it better for the
Psylocke. Get out of here!
I don't mean their outfits. I meant literally for team tactics cards, right? For affiliated tactics, because Killmonger doesn't mind vibranium shielding.
Mm-hmm. He also is great
does
at
not
paying
mind.
for 8 according to plan.
And Wakanda Forever is definitely something that he definitely can make great use of.
Yeah. Cat and Mouse absolutely enables her round 1 to be a cannonball. Dirty Work doesn't exist. Pretty Sneaky Sis enables Psylocke to be basically untouchable for a round.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say basically untouchable, but she becomes incredibly hard to deal with for 1 round.
Yes.
So I think they're pretty even on tactics. What about Sculpt? Psylocke. Come at me.
I mean, I made my cancelable offense declarations
last week.
No need to repeat those.
Fair enough. All right. I don't know if anybody said anything this entire time because I scrolled up for the questions, but I think that's going to end our this versus that. Psylocke wins the best 4th threat between her and Killmonger.
Does she though? I mean,
Killmonger
can straight up win.
When are you
during his activation?
Okay, but how often? Okay, so nowadays, if I was to take Killmonger and usurp, who's he trying to kill? He's trying to kill Hulk or Malekith.
At least he can reroll into Mal now.
Okay, he can, but
Thanos.
He's probably dead.
Yeah.
Killmonger's probably dead before he can use the card.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
I mean, Psylocke could be too. Let's be honest. So I got 6 health.
Fine. But I have
I would give Psylocke the edge.
I would give Psylocke the edge. Yeah. Epic rap battles of history. Psylocke wins. All right. Earlier in the chat, Holy Mackinac, what are you enjoying so much in particular about Psylocke? I think this segment covered that. She's amazing, man. If you have not played her yet, she is probably my favorite character in the game right now. I know I say that every time a new release comes out, but she is actually probably my favorite character because one, she's in the affiliation that I really want to play, and I can play her without feeling bad every single game with that affiliation.
Why?
Because she's a staple for that affiliation, in my opinion. I don't care if I have a 9-point core with Cable and Psylocke, but I
mean, if you're only running 4 models, it's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not that hard. But she's just, in my opinion, Psylocke is actually an above value character. She's probably a 4.9 in my opinion. The only thing holding her back is her let me throw shit at her, she just dies. That's probably her only weakness in my opinion.
I hear everybody brings brace these days. So.
Yeah, everybody brings brace.
She's defensive 4? 4-3-3?
3-3-4.
3-3-4.
3-3-4. Yeah. But martial artists and she does not like things thrown at her. But that's why you gotta just play body blocks. Which is why she runs with Cable. He will body block for her. Or 23 or somebody else who has other chances.
All right. Mackinac says how does she stack up against Rogue? I think that Rogue and Psylocke Rogue has a lot more tools than Psylocke has to do more different things.
I think it's what you're doing. If I'm playing X-Men, I'm grabbing for Rogue because affiliation. But if I don't need that affiliation and it's what am I doing? It's what do I need this person to do? Do I need this person to be a throwbot? Do I need this person to power sap? Do I need this person to what all do I need this person to do? If I just need somebody who's gonna go in and punch stuff and bring energy and mystic attacks, then I'm going for Psylocke. If I don't care for mystic, which here's the thing though, is X-Men really lack mystic attacks. Except for now they got Emma. But it's like if I want a good mystic attacker, I'm gonna take Psylocke over Rogue. But if I don't care for that, then I'm gonna take Rogue over Psylocke. Ominous, on a scale of 1 to 10, why is Psylocke an 11? Because I don't know if I can explain this anymore. But yeah, in all honesty,
she's a New York 10.
Yeah. Against it really just depends on what you do, I think, and what exactly you need. I think Rogue still has a place, and Rogue is a great character.
Yeah.
But between Logan and Psylocke, I don't know. I don't know if you need Rogue anymore. Or you just run crazy. All fours.
No, you guys play this more aggressive game. Like I play this like whiny little bee game where I'm way more interested in having Rogue just like walk up and power sap and then like walk onto a point to score it.
Well, there is a line where like somebody brought this up. You could literally play Deadpool, Rogue, and Psylocke and just go, "I'm taking your power."
I mean, so like that, yes, until that 7-die builder comes in and just gains her all of the power that you thought you were going to pull off of her that round.
No, because then you just go ahead and like you put stun on them before you do damage.
I mean, no, I meant for like.
Oh yeah. Rogue is power starved and X-Men. See, I agree with that. Like, I think the nice thing that Psylocke has is I don't think it does say Rogue is power starved. It's more that she has so much that she wants to do with power. Like she generates power pretty well. But she has so much that she wants to do with her power that she always feels power starved.
You play Psylocke, Rogue in Brotherhood, especially under Mags, and it's completely different than it is under Storm. Like under Storm, I feel like Rogue, like she's fun to play there, but like the only turn that you feel like you have enough power to do things is turn 2. Like, that's just it. And it's and then she has the Cyclops effect, right? She has to like actually like do some damage that turn, or you wind up just doing the sap and starve game the whole time.
Yeah. Ronwick, what are some takeaways from your guys' TTS Season X results? Any lessons learned or things you want to change for the future? Psylocke. I wish I had her. But in real talk, I think I find it really interesting that there's a lot of affiliations that are seeing more play, aka foes. Like I think in previous leagues, I hardly saw foes, and now I think that they're actually a pretty good contender, and really good people are playing them. And foes really upset a lot of things that you're not used to if you haven't played against them in a while.
Oh, Rhino! They have a new toy too, so they're
yeah. Rhino's crazy.
Always
lessons. I don't know. Like, I just wish I had Psylocke the entire league. I've basically been playing with her since week 3 though, or week 4, because my opponents are nice. What about you? Nice. What's your takeaways from Season X?
I'm glad I signed up for it. I wish I would have signed up for it week 1.
That's fair.
Because I signed up in week 2, which is kind of like. The pressure is on, because you really can't. I
can't lose a single game.
Yep, you can't lose a single game, so you just got to come in and do it. And I did not do that. I had fun switching back over to Black Order. I had fun playing Convocation in the first half, and I enjoyed playing Black Order in the second half of the season. I like playing Black Order. I just don't feel like they're in this like top tier conversation right now. The Corvus playstyle is very dice dependent, and it's at the risk of sounding like a broken record, it is painfully obvious that Thanos was a factor in the reorganization of the crises and threat levels and things like that. So he is not the head and shoulders above piece that he was prior to Malekith's release. I think that he's definitely in the conversation as one of the best pieces in the game still, and he's still very, 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 very good. But at the same time, he can't just take over every single game by himself like he used to.
Yeah,
and that's good. That's good for the game, but it doesn't mean that like I'm gonna stop playing him.
Holy Mackinac said, I think they need to have Gamora and Nebula be affiliated to help lower points.
Oh, for Black Order? I think that it would be fun to play like Thanos and the Daughters, for sure. That would be a fun way, but it doesn't actually like get you what I think you want anymore. Now that 14 is gone, like that would have been a fun option to bring in at 14, but now you don't really like. I don't know. I miss Proxima in the list that I'm running right now. That's like the only thing that I'm actually like be like, dang it, I wish I could fit her in, but I haven't found room for her yet.
Jodel says, serious question. Did they make Immortal Hulk too hard to kill? I don't think so. I think there's enough tools in the game just statically that you could deal with it. I do think he's hard to kill. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you have options like Grievous Wounds, Sap, Stun to get rid of this power. Like, could you imagine sapping him down to like 1 and then like killing him? It's like then he comes back with 19 and you just kill him again. But I do think I'm not by any means saying he's easy to kill, but there are options out there. And if you are whittling him down to like having to use his power for healing to come back to life, then he's not doing a lot during his turn. It says punching you with 7 dice.
Well, he's got 5 health.
Yeah.
Right? If he takes 15 damage, let's assume he has 10 power. He's going to heal down to 5, so he has 10 damage left. And I think that is weirdly easy to chew through in this game. I think
especially with things like energy, attack, style lock with rerolls.
Or, he's a really good target for Usurp the Throne.
Yeah.
So, you could just have Killmonger come in and then Wakanda Forever for that 3rd attack. And
it's also like you're paying 7 threat for him. Like, I would argue Malekith might be harder to kill than Immortal Hulk just because of how much pressure he's putting on you. Where once Immortal Hulk goes down, he's going to have a hard time regaining his own personal tempo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I haven't done any sort of testing with Immortal Hulk.
Me either. This is all like baseless conjecture.
To put him on the table. We wanted, Hyper's out to dinner with his family tonight, which we can appreciate.
We could just shit on Immortal Hulk as much as we can.
But he's played a few games with him as a proxy piece, so he would have a more measured opinion on this than I have. He looks neat. This is the best you're gonna get from me.
Yeah. You guys made a good point. Like, healing points every activation is really good. It is insanely good.
The 3 throws a turn he has to hit a wild for, or he's got to have 8 power sitting on him, and hit a wild, right? Like that.
Like,
that's hard.
he is good, and I was considering putting him in my list. But it's like, I don't know. I need to play him to figure out more about him.
He might come in either over Hulk in my roster, or I will drop Hulk and Mal and bring in Immortal and play with that for a little while, and then bring in another splash character.
I just
Maybe
think,
Proxima.
As far as game impacts goes, I think OG Hulk will still have more of an impact. I really do.
Okay, so do you think that that's because of the 2 cost throw, or is that because
it's between the throw and his health pool
just
is
being
greater.
higher in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the fact that you can, like, his power is more used for just controlling and scoring VPs, where this Hulk is like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you.
I guess that's the take that I keep hearing, is that like this Immortal Hulk is so much more aggressive than the original. The original is so much more like control oriented, and I definitely agree that like old Hulk has a lot of control. But I look at the new kit and I see like one thing that stands out between the 2 of them, and it's 2 things I should say. One of them is that the throw costs 3 on Immortal. And the second one is that it's a wild throw instead of a wild push on the builder. But the builder doesn't scale up either. And that's one of the more frightening things about OG Hulk, is how many
you start
dice
killing him, and next thing you know,
you.
he's throwing 12 dice at you, and it's like,
right.
Oh god.
And you're like, or and that like makes the beam even weirdly. And so does that mean that OG Hulk is overtuned? I don't know if it means he's overtuned. I am curious to see if there's like a touch that happens to him in, around, or after the Immortal Hulk release, right? So like this one seems kind of strange. This is up there with the Black Widow 2 for me, where it's kind of like, okay, like one of the better pieces out of the core set, and one of the earlier, duplicates that entered the game. And it's like, well, why? So I'm hyped for Immortal because I love the Immortal run, but I don't look at like OG Hulk and be like, you're outmoded, or you're outmoded by this.
I think
guy.
it's just going to depend on what you want for your list.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Or something changes with him.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to the next one. From Rich at Rich Mid Gaming. What are your thoughts on Emma's new leadership and what will it do to the meta? I will be completely honest. I think it's really interesting. I've thought about playing with it, but I haven't actually played with it, and I think there's a lot of layers to that onion on like how good it's going to be and how it's going to impact things. And like we talked about it, Sam and I have talked a lot about it, where it's like it's really cool to be able to basically just throw one character and one card into any affiliation.
Yeah.
And have that flex of being like, I'm going to take the best of what I have right now instead of taking X-Force, which is a completely viable option.
I've thought about it in my roster right now. Like, hey,
yeah,
what's a fifth leader, right? Like, let's do this.
One character and a card. I think it's super interesting that option is now available to everybody. And if you're taking Healing Factor, it's kind of cool. And the leadership isn't trash when you do that. Yeah, true. Like if I'm taking like all like these X-Force characters and like all these Healing Factor people, like the leadership's actually kind of neat because now I'm healing even more and getting power. Like, let me just go ahead and have like round 1 pop Emma's leadership, so she gains like 5 power, and then the subsequent rounds just like pop leadership to give like Psylocke an extra or whatever. I think it's super neat. God, I keep talking myself back into this.
But what are you doing with all of that power on Emma? That's the thing that I'm not like. Maybe that's just a failure.
If I had let's say that game that we played Black Order, I had all that power on Emma.
Yeah,
I am now stopping all my characters from being displaced by Thanos.
Oh sure, but like that's like
Coffee Time says her amazing spender. That's fair. Her spender is pretty dope.
all the points you're not getting.
But what I'm talking about though is I think the coolest thing to do with her superpower is first activation, pop it when nobody's on it, especially if you're playing Healing Factor characters, because now it's just an unconsequential. She just gained 5 power.
The timing of it, I think, is really interesting, and I just don't. When I was evaluating this for my roster, I looked at it and it didn't. I wouldn't say that it doesn't merit testing. It just didn't make the first pass, the second pass, or the third pass. Where I was like, okay, like, no. In this case, I would do this.
What's the timing on it? I thought it was once it's her turn, she can like say.
You get to choose. I'm almost positive that you just get to choose when to pull that trigger.
Yeah. So why don't you just like that's what I'm saying. Like, why don't at the end of anyone's turn? Okay, so at the end of anyone's turn, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go with Badger, and put her on some random area that I usually do.
Yeah.
And then pop leadership. Emma gains a shit ton of power, and like it's good to go. Like I don't know, I just see that happening, and then the subsequent rounds when I'm set up for round 2,
you are spoiled by Healing Factor characters. I got to tell you, like as someone who's been playing for the past like 15 days with no restrictions.
Oh, I see what he's saying. Because you would lose a power and lose a damage if you did it that way. Okay, I see what he's saying now. I forgot about that part of it. I don't know. I'll have to play around with it.
I think it's neat. I think that bringing in a bunch of powerhouse characters like this is
researcher and infinity formula. It's perfect.
Yeah, like bringing powerhouse characters, bringing Healing Factor characters. Like I would rather run my Hellfire Club than the Weapon X leadership, and I don't even think that that's a bad leadership. It's just not. I just don't trust defense dice. I like this. It's got sure things written all over it where you're just like
Coffee says it makes Lizard amazing. Lizard's already amazing, so
that's fair.
But I don't know. I do think it's very interesting. I need to test it out to see if that's what my 10th slot is. It helps. It makes a little bit things easier, and it is a question for me. I might even just like throw in Weapon X as well, so I'm tri-affiliated because why not?
I don't even like Spider-Woman, and I'm just running Spider-Woman and
that's fair.
Double Agent over this.
That's fair. I don't know. I need to test it. That's my biggest thing. Is I need to test it. I don't really know.
I don't. I think. I mean, we talked about this last night, and I pretty much I see Emma in X-Men and Hellfire as almost like an afterthought, unless you're trying to do this kind of just unaffiliated.
Well, I think that awesome. Like Headmistress is such a powerful card for X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, I look at my Hellfire Club and Thanos, and that's like where my head goes immediately, because like when you start like giving him extra power and healing damage off of him, he's super mean.
I agree. But I just like the option on those high threat leader teams, so Defenders, X-Force, like stuff like that, where it's like I'm gonna have a matchup where it just feels bad. And it really comes down to what's just better for me. Is it gonna be X-Men, Hellfire Club, or Weapon X? And it might be Hellfire Club. I don't know. But I think if I was gonna go like a mono Hellfire Club affiliation, like is it you just bring the best of the best?
Yeah.
Greatest hits record. Let's go. But Amos has said he just recorded the Fury's Finest episode coming out this week, talking about a list that they built for Hellfire Club. So I'm kind of curious to hear how that goes.
Nice. I like.
I'm curious to see because you had Splucia and DeLuca who built the Dormammu list, like the Dark Web list that everybody was like all hot on for a couple weeks before things changed. But like
Doom Prophecy and like Carnage went back into the bin. Yeah.
Like that list was scary for a while. But like, so there is a question out there: is this something that's powerful to where you can just put the best of the best characters in here and perform? I don't know. I really don't know. You good to move on, or do you have any other comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Matematic. After playing the new crises for a while, what are your new favorite and least favorite crises? What changes do you like the best? Best change is the timing for cubes. I like that more.
Says the guy playing Healing Factor.
Yeah, cubes is super fun now.
Yeah.
And my new favorite crises, I really like Recore. Like it's boring and it's simple and it's slow, but it's like I always feel like there's never like a shutout with Alien, like with Recore. It's like it is a game with Recore.
It's a cool one. I like the power management on that is really fun. Yeah. That was in the Black Order roster that I was running. And outside of the turn that I literally looked at my opponent and laughed about how Black Dwarf was never going to have enough power to ever trigger that, he proceeded to drop like 5 damage into him with Storm.
Oh my god.
After his activation, and he did a bunch of damage to himself. So it's hey,
lesson learned: cool. Don't talk shit during your game.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I didn't even realize I was talking shit with that. I thought I was just, stating
Black Dwarf ain't gonna do anything here.
Like, hey, this character I have, who is traditionally Power Star for the entire game, he'll be fine. No, he wasn't. I like running. So right now, I am on a Hammers, Paranoia, and Scrolls kick as my extracts, because I am so tired of losing priority and feeling like I'm behind. A lot of the rosters I've been running for the past year, I felt very comfortable with priority and very comfortable with priority on my extracts and very uncomfortable without priority on my extracts. I run a combination of Fs and Montesi and a few other things, and I am very, very happy so far on these basically 4 plot spreads for these that are all moderately fast scoring, and that they have at least 4 points, and then they are pretty surprisingly fair, because I get 2, you get 2, and then we have parity on extracts, and we're going to play over something else instead. At least in theory.
Okay, what's your least favorite now?
Senators without a plan. Researcher is still a really interesting space for me. I think that I bring a lot of teams to the table and build into my rosters teams that I think are very good at Researcher, but I very rarely bring it myself, because
I like Researcher now.
It falls into the old Gamma And even though the scoring is slower, it's I have found Researcher to be surprisingly decisive still, right? It just doesn't give you that like put away that it used to give you, where you could just like put games away by just crowding it down onto their extract point. I feel like Researcher is played very differently now, but it's still.
I would disagree with that. Every time I've played Researcher, it's still like people are playing it like it's the crux of the game, which makes me feel great.
No,
it's less though. It's less though.
Yeah, I mean, you get points from other things, but
yeah,
if you, I mean, okay,
but like let's say it's
it's a 2-0 swing though. It's a 2-0 swing.
But if it's Infinity Formula and Researcher, like you're not going to lose the game by chasing down the infinities if your opponent is sitting on the Researcher. You're actually going to win.
Maybe that's a question of how wide you are.
Yeah, true.
How much control you have.
I'm 4 wide.
How wide they are. How much control they have.
I agree.
But,
all right. What's your least favorite? Is it Senators? I don't want to say Senators because I keep saying how it's not too toxic.
No, honestly, like Senators, most of the games that I think that for Senators, you need to understand what is good on Senators, how to play into those things that are good on Senators. You probably want your own plan for Senators, and that's why I said like Senators without a plan is like probably my least favorite. But like have a plan for it. It's not that hard. I wouldn't recommend bringing it, but have a plan for it.
Yeah. Okay.
So no. Let's see. Researcher. Like, what is my just least favorite? Demons is still my least favorite Crisis to play on, for what that's worth. Like, it's just it puts too much pressure on the extract game, and I don't like everyone being incinerated.
I like it.
I know you do.
I don't know. I think probably Sword, because no matter how good your list is Sword,
golly, like Sword is still terrible.
Yes. It doesn't matter like how good or how amazing your plan on Sword is, you're gonna get bit by that roll. Like,
Sword is the last action 50-50 on Sword makes it so miserable for me. Like I rescind Demons and we'll throw Sword.
But Coffee Time, Scoundrels. Coffee says Scoundrels can go to hell. Scoundrels is at least playable.
Scoundrels, like, you can play. You play X-Men, man. Like,
yeah.
You're just like, what if my leader was terrible at this?
Let's go Hellfire Club. But then it's like, I don't know. I think it's Sword because it's like you can build the most perfect Sword list and still lose because of the scenario and how it's played.
Yeah, and I think the thing for Sword for me is that like even the wins feel incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
Because it is so often like you won or lost because you got or your opponent didn't get that 50-50 at the end of the game.
But here's the question. Man, would you rather Sword be the same exact way but rolled the same way Meteors is for a defensive value, or would you rather 50-50?
I think Sword should be exactly what it is. It's
annoying. I just don't like it.
Don't want to bring it. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next one from Matematic. What's one thematic ability missing from a character that annoys you? A bow on Psylocke. Granted,
annoys you.
Granted, she'd probably be a 5-threat if she had that. But it's like she's got telekinetic abilities, and the only thing that's really like she's got like precog on her card. But it's like her telekinetic abilities aren't really portrayed in her character, in my opinion.
Does she ever like telekinetic, right? So that's like
like moving people,
physically moving people. Does she physically move anybody like ever?
Yeah, she's actually one of like she's a really strong telepath or telekinetic rather.
All right, I mean, Psylocke.
Psylocke can do everything, man. No, she's actually not that strong with telekinetic. But like it is like on her list of like stuff that she can do.
Yeah.
But like, I just want her to have a bow because I want X-Force to have some sort of control.
I mean, oh, wow.
There's not a single X-Force character that has like easy access to control.
Wow. I still can't believe that Apex and Logan are not X-Force.
Yeah. Well, because like the easiest access to control you have is whatchamacallit? Berserker Barrage. That is the only control that is in X-Force.
That's not real. That is not real control.
Yeah. Because Cable can't throw people. Colossus can't throw people or push people. Sabretooth can't throw or push people. 23 doesn't do nothing. Like Wolverine Berserker Barrage is literally the only control that is in X-Force.
That's fair. Immune to shock on
No, it's
Thor
not. It's not fair.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Is what I meant. A lack of immunity to shock on Thor. Fair. And I guess Storm maybe too to that same.
Is he not immune to shock?
No, he has no immunities.
Oh my god. All right, let's move on. Last one, Nellon. Being the last 10 characters spoiled, 4 threats: Logan, Apex, Rhino, Venom, Spider-Woman, Beta Ray, Ulik. Ulik's a 5 threat. 4+ threat, he says. Emma, Psylocke, and New Hulk. You guys feel AMG is aiming for taller games? Do you think we might be seeing sometime soon 21+ threat crises? To answer the last question, no. I think they're going to let it ride at 15 to 20 for a while here, and see how that plays out. I think this is just hitting a patch of characters that they wanted to put out. I don't think there's any like relation to where they want the game to go. I think it's very much like we want to do these characters.
I think that they want the game more middle of the road. I think they want the game more 4 and 5 and less 3 and 6.
Well, to be honest, almost all of last year was 3 threats.
Yeah.
Like we got a lot of 3 threats last year. So I think it's just trying to balance out like, hey, here's some quality 4s because we've been lacking like really good quality 4s to take.
Yeah, and at the start of that run of 3s, right? Like you think about it, like it was like Zemo or Valkyrie. Zemo and Valkyrie? Mm-hmm. Zemo, Valkyrie. Like you basically made a decision about that, and then Valkyrie got touched. And in the same course that like that was going on, then like they literally gave us, 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 that was in contention to, if not be a best in class, then to be an excellent role player. Your Luke Cages, your Boxmate, Iron Fist, Sam Wilson, like just so many of those characters were just solid. Yeah. Just solid.
All right. Is there anything else you want to hit on? I think that's all the questions we got.
Nope. I'm good.
All right.
I'm
cool.
tired.
I am too.
Again, and I'm having fun.
I'm playing Psylocke every single game, and I'm having fun. And with that, we have been the Rogue Agents, and you have been the listener.
Touche.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Maximum effort. In this war, there's no surrender. He's out of line, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
You don't like a fair fight.
I think you're wrong. Which part? All of it.
Think you're the only superhero in the world?
Touche.